Hello, good morning and welcome. You're watching Core Finance and the Mining Show, brought to you by Blytheway. I'm Charlie Gibson. Now, a lot of the news in the last 48 hours has been about oceans, and in particular oceans expanding, oceans flooding. Well, of course, they don't always do that, and our thoughts are with those affected in the United States and the Caribbean. But as one ocean opens, another ocean closes, and of course, one of the most famous oceans ever to close, certainly in geological history, in geological terms, was the Tethys Ocean, which many millennia ago closed and created a world-class deposit, world-class series or belt of deposits running all the way from Eastern Europe into Central Asia. And one of the companies that's hoping to exploit precisely those deposits in that arc in the former Yugoslav Republic of Serbia is the very aptly named Tethyan Resources. And joining me now from Tethyan is the Chief Operating Officer, Fabian Baker. Fabian, very good morning to you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Tell us a little bit about the deposit, about the geology, what you're doing, and how you came to it.
The Tethys Ocean closed millions of years ago, and on the continents colliding, it produced a series of mountain ranges and intrusive activity that formed a number of mineral deposits throughout the belt. In particular, copper and gold porphyry deposits, and this is what we're exploring in the part of the belt which Serbia occupies. We have a project there called the Suva Ruda project, which we acquired last year, and we've started work on very quickly, and we're having some encouraging results.
So tell us a little bit about those results. I mean, give us a flavour. You've done what you've done. So you've done one
drilling program, and that we've released the results of. That was at the end of last year, and we had 4 drill holes to quite significant depths, up to almost 600 meters, and we had copper and gold mineralization from surface, which extended very consistently throughout the drill holes, and suddenly indicated to us that this could be a very significant deposit. So we followed that up this year in July. We did a second drilling program, and we're just anticipating that those results will be available and announced very soon.
Just humour me on the genesis of your involvement as a UK company. How did you become involved with this deposit in Serbia?
Well, we identified Serbia and the wider Balkan region as a great opportunity. Serbia in particular created a new mining law to support investment and exploration in mining. So we moved into the region, and we, having reviewed the major deposits, identified a historical mining belt called the Treacher region, which was one of the most significant lead and zinc mining regions in the world last century.
So was this by going to the Geological Museum of
Absolutely.
Serbia?
It's quite a well-known belt in mining terms, but much less explored in recent times. And all the historical work focused on lead and zinc missed perhaps an opportunity on copper and gold, and also as economies of scale and new technologies in mining have allowed the mining of lower grade deposits such as copper gold porphyries, which have been very successful throughout the world, particularly in the Andes and Canada and North America. These types of deposits weren't well explored for or recognized, and so we've come into this historic mining belt with a fresh look at it, and noticing apart from the lead and zinc, we've got great copper and gold potential as well.
One of the things that was always said about that part of the world, because of course it used to be part of the Yugoslavia, is that the communists, they were very assiduous in their geological exploration, and they were inclined to put one hole every kilometre or something, and tried to drill the entire country out on a grid. Is that what you found? Was it helpful?
Very helpful. I should say that the Yugoslav geologists did fantastic work, and they did identify many of these things. And like I say, I think a big factor in that is the economy at the time, and the technologies just didn't allow these types of deposits to perhaps be economic at the time, so they weren't of such interest. And often these geologists, they recognize all the telltale signs that with modern understanding of geology and these types of deposits, we as geologists now go, well, that's clearly the signature for a porphyry or epithermal deposit. At that time, that geological model wasn't so well understood, so they may have had all the pieces of the puzzle but didn't quite put it together.
So they've done all the work, and you're hoping to take all the benefits, so to speak.
Yes, I hope so.
I see. I noticed a little bit in your news flow that that you have listed now on the Toronto Venture Exchange, and of course, very well known for as being a supportive exchange for junior mining companies. And you've got a shareholder vote coming up in London. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's right. Yes, we during the last 12 months have completed some capital raisings and had significant interest from North America and Canada, and we've taken on a couple of major shareholders, one of which is called Power One Capital, and another important one is Southern Arc Minerals, who have taken 29.9% of our company and are looking to support us long term. And one of the expectations with that investment from Canada was that we'd make this dual listing onto the Toronto Venture Exchange. So we've followed through with that, and we've completed it. And the board recently, on reviewing our strategy moving forwards, we decided we want to make a very clear direction on how the company will be moving forwards. We see great opportunity on the Toronto Venture Exchange. We're getting very good support out of Canada. And we felt that we would be better served reducing our administration costs by having a dual listing and focusing that money in the ground and exploration, and we don't feel we'll suffer by having a Toronto listing. In fact, we think it'll be a benefit to our shareholders.
I'm sure, and you will of course have the benefit of all the sort of laws about flow-through financing that they have in Canada, which presumably there will be further rounds of financing, I take it, into the future.
Yes, of course. It's a well-established exchange for companies such as ours. There's a real culture of fostering and supporting early-stage exploration companies such as Tethyan. So it'll be very conducive to the business moving forwards, and we feel it'll be very successful for us.
Does this mean management moves out to Canada? Head offices go there as well?
No, we have a support network in Canada. Myself and other members of the board have a lot of experience in our previous companies that we've been involved in. We're all in Toronto listings, but we've successfully managed those from around the UK, and we have our projects in Serbia, listing in Toronto, so we're nicely situated in the middle to operate in both jurisdictions.
And am I right in thinking that part of the shareholder vote in London is that you might not keep the AIM listing?
Well, that is the intention of the vote, yes. The board's recommending that we do delist from AIM and focus solely on the listing in Toronto.
And so what does that mean for your UK shareholders?
Well, it shouldn't impact negatively. There's a simple process for their stock to be transferred to the Toronto Stock Exchange, and we feel that it's a good exchange with electronic trading, good transparency. In many ways, we see that it's quite suitable to a smaller company such as ours.
Do you think you might get a better valuation there? Do you think investors are more supportive, more understanding of early stage?
That remains to be seen, but certainly we've noticed a high level of support and interest in Tethyan from Canada, and perhaps more so than the London market, because it's a very focused market for our sector. There's a big pool of investors who like our type of company. They understand the concept, and they've seen it be successful many times before. So we're getting great support, and I feel that will be reflected in the share price.
So tell us, just in terms of the project now, what are the next steps?
So next steps, we're waiting for the results of our second drilling program, which are due imminently. And currently we're carrying out a very large geophysical survey. It's being conducted by a Canadian group called Quantech, and it's their proprietary system which can penetrate down to 1,500 meters, and it's covering the entirety of our Suva Ruda Rudnitza porphyry is the name of the porphyry target, which is actually a very large area. It's more than 1,500 meters long, whereas we've only drilled a very small area, perhaps 300 meters by 300 meters. So it's a large system, lots of mineralization, and this geophysical survey will help target future drilling. So that future drilling we expect to commence early next year.
My rather limited knowledge of Serbo-Croat tells me that Suva Ruda means dry rock. Is that right?
Yes, you're right, Charlie. I'm not quite sure of the significance of that, but
well, what I'm going to speculate is that when the Tethys Ocean was opened, then there was much more water around than there is now.
Absolutely.
Now it's closed up, it's dried up as well, and long may it stay that way. So, look, Fabian, I'm sorry that's all we got time for, but thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. That was Fabian Baker, the Chief Operating Officer of Tethyan Resources. There, so keep an eye on that stock because there's lots of news. There's lots of news both at the company at the corporate level, but also at the geological, at the project level as well. So I'm afraid that's all we've got time for, but that'll be me signing off. I'm Charlie Gibson. You've been watching Core Finance and the Mining Show, brought to you by Blythe Way. We'll be back again next week, and in the meantime, you have a capital day.